Let's just say I kind of let stuff pile up. So I got to work stuff out with this plow. I've got some chipper related welding stuff to do. There's this behemoth. It just needs like a little something. I got a slide hammer I got to fashion. And I think there's a few other things I'm kind of forgetting. So to me, a utility welding job is kind of differentiated from a fabrication job, and sometimes even like a complicated repair job. These are just the welding jobs you got to do to kind of keep things going. Seldom on a utility job do I find I gotta like go buy materials, you know? These are the little dudes, man, like in between, in the cracks, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So it's not that this thing didn't have bolts, it did, but they were just all funky and traveling and wiggling and stuff, and then there weren't enough, so I used some like weird ones over here. Anyway, these way too short legs are at least now solid. Seems like got a case of the wiggles up top too. And the cool thing for me about utility jobs is I feel like the standard of excellence, it's just not even there. Like, you don't even need to worry about that. You just got to get the weld to stick. You got to make sure it's strong enough. If it's all bubbly and bird turded out and looking funkified, it doesn't matter with utility job. Grind it down if you want to. Grab some random paint and slop it on there. Again, if you want to. It's not a job that's meant for like finished work. Make it perfect for the customer, you know, it's got to represent the quality of the whatever. It is about utility, performance, getting something fixed up, back into circulation, back on the job. From non-functional to kind of working, it's definitely stiffened up. I still think the legs are just really dinky. I kind of want to go out, you know, like 4 feet or bolt this to the platform, or maybe even bolt it to the floor. That might be good. But anyway, it's moving. This bottom thing is attached and movable up and down. And 20-ton jack, that 40,000 pounds, that seems like overkill. And I guess you just loosen it up and the springs bring it back up. Yeah, there you go. And if you're curious about gear on this one, I am running a MIG welder for, I think, all these repairs. Yeah, all these repairs. If I'm doing something kind of far from the shop where I don't have a lot of juice, I will switch over to the flux core, and I'm not gonna burn the whole thing just because I feel like water gets in there, it can kind of like get out instead of just getting trapped, and it's overkill. Like, you know, 3 welds up top. You got, yeah, 3 on the bottom. If you don't have a MIG welder, just run flux core, it's fine. Or get your stick welder. In these utility jobs, for me, I just go with what's kind of easy and doable. And for those who are like really particular, you might just want to look away at this point. I mean, come on, who has red spray paint? I have thought about putting a ring up top to run some kind of chain or something to this little loop, but I've never used one of these plows before. I don't really know if it's going to need that kind of thing. I think it's just going to kind of flop around and just kind of ride with gravity. If I need this later, I'm going to use it, but in the meantime, just kind of see how it behaves, you know? Now, by saying these utility jobs, I would not want to throw any shade on the fabricators out there who buy the plate and buy the tubing and all that stuff. I totally do that too on bigger fabrication jobs where I'm making something, like legitimately designing, creating. That's not this kind of welding. This is fixing stuff, getting it out there in circulation again. All right, let me try to explain the problem here. The chipper has a really nice, big, fat piece of tubing sticking out of it for a really nice jack, which is not this jack. This guy has like it's kind of like a round peg in a square hole situation. So this whole thing just kind of wobbles. I've not been able to find a jack with a perfect piece of tubing. I did kind of solve this with this other jack out here where I welded a piece of tubing over like another one over here, so that worked out. But this one, I just don't like that angle and that wobble and stuff. It's just not right. So I threw down and got one of these guys. I gotta say, while I'm busting out these utility jobs, that there is part of me that's just kind of wondering, just like a little part of me, wondering if there's anyone out there who just accidentally stumbled into the quagmire of this YouTube channel and has been meaning to take up welding, but you just haven't gotten there. You know, it's kind of on your list, like, oh, you know, I'd like to try welding, or I got some stuff I need to weld, I should do that. I think you should do that. This guy just had these bolt holes, so I figured I'd do plug welds on it, and that looks like overkill. I like it. From wobble leg to just genuine drop leg. And this dude's like 8K. It's more like for a flatbed or dump trailer or whatever, but in here you can see my previous conundrum with the round and the square. Just, you know, you had to rotate this thing all the time. It's way easier than you think. Like, getting a basic, completely cheapo, low budget welder is not that hard. They stink compared to bigger, more quality welders. But dude, that's like most things. They might stink in comparison to the high quality stuff, but they're decent. They will throw a weld down. They will melt metal. All right, so the other thing going on up front on this chipper is that just like pretty much every chipper on earth, it's got a Pintle hitch, and I kind of hate Pintle hitches. All you're doing when you're welding is taking a little bit of electricity and zapping some thin metal, either in a rod or in a wire, or using a torch if that's what you want to do. All you're doing is zapping a little bit of metal and melting stuff together. It is incredibly satisfying. There are a lot of puzzles to work out with it in terms of like thickness of steel and steel quality and all that stuff. But basically, in the most basic sense, all you gotta do is clean up the surface kind of okay, like not perfect, but clean it up kind of okay, and then cook that metal. Hit it with your welder, melt stuff together. After you do it for a while, you'll get into all the fine points of stuff. That's really a connection between three metals, the one you're introducing and the two you're putting together, and all of those have different thicknesses and temperatures and stuff. So I'm not saying there's not a lot to it, but there isn't a lot to very basic utility welding like this. It's like actually straight. It's just not that big a deal. I think it gets kind of overrated as super complicated. And if you've been wanting to do it, if you've been thinking, oh, I should get a welder or whatever, dude, get a cheapo welder and have at it. I think you'll find it really satisfying. It's like satisfying and rewarding and stuff, and a little bit thrilling once you get that melting going on and the sparks and stuff. There's like a welding rush that you get. So here's what this thing does. It's like the attachment on my hitch stabilizer. So basically it just kind of slots in like yay. Oh, that's it. That's it. Alright, so this is how the original hooks up. And then this is the facsimile. I want to transform these into a slide hammer for pulling nails out my aircraft hangar pole barn. So since this is a prototype, I've never made one of these before or actually used one quite like it. I figure I might as well test it out. My hunch is that it might need a little more weight on the slide, like this pipe kind of double, tripled up. Let me just, you know, give it a ride. Alright, so I'd say it needs shorter, no, not shorter, longer travel, because right now it only travels like 6 inches. It needs to travel like a foot, so the pipe needs to be shorter and it's got to be heavier. It shouldn't be so much like shoving with your hand. It needs to just have that mass. Alright, let's just say it's not going to win any like ergonomic awards or anything. Alright, the sliding weight is a lot heavier, uglier, and the whole thing's actually way too heavy. But let me give it another test. Dude. Yeah, so that's what it needed. It just needed the freaking momentum. Yeah, so handle is like totally horrible to hold and it bangs into the other side of the handle. But if you get it twisted just right, man, it's got the weight. Yeah, that's 100% ugly and totally works. So there's definitely like a couple more utility jobs I could do around here, but let's just leave it right there, along with the mention that this right here, it's not necessarily like a how-to video. There are some mighty fine welding related how-to videos with all the like steps you should follow, machines you should buy, all that stuff. It's just a story of how I did it, and I appreciate you checking it out. I'm gonna smash some stuff. The longest, weirdest, heaviest slide hammer for pulling nails in the world, but it is incredibly effective.